Welcome back to the Nerd Age Podcast, where we talk about everything nerdy. I'm your host today, Corey, of course, and with me today is Jonah.
What's up?
And Josh.
What up?
Mick's not here. He's taking the day off. But today we're going to be talking about the Game Awards. By, what's his name? Jeff Keighley.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we had a sweet stream, live stream of the Game Awards with also, if you know that event, they also do reveals of new games that are coming back up for next year. It's honestly the new E3, just in digital form.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about some of the stuff, some of the awards first.
Yeah, we'll just go over, because we talked about it last week, what we thought might win. I mean, the big award, obviously, Game of the Year, ended up going to Elden Ring. So that was... I predicted it, so I got that one right. I said Elden Ring would win Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Best Narrative went to God of War Ragnarok, which is kind of how I thought people would end up voting. The Best Performer was, I'm blanking on his name, but the guy that does the voice for Kratos and Ragnarok.
Oh, Teal'c?
Yeah. Teal'c. That's also not his name.
Stargate. From Stargate.
Christopher Judge. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
he's awesome.
I mean, he did his speech went on for quite
20
it was
minutes.
pretty long.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it was pretty long. It was funny because Jeff Keighley they're giving on Twitch. They were giving away a Steam Deck,
a minute,
and he was like, apparently Christopher Judge wants to hand out some more Steam Decks today.
Yeah.
So it was pretty funny. But I mean, Nintendo got some awards. Most anticipated game next year,
Breath of the Wild.
Well,
Tears of the Kingdom.
That's what it's called.
It's such a interesting.
What?
It's like you can't equate that to a number. You know what I mean?
Most anticipated?
Like,
you vote on it. You know,
I mean,
what I'm saying?
yeah, it's like this.
I mean,
how hyped are you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did it didn't win? It didn't win Game of the Year. Breath of the Wild didn't, right?
No.
Actually, I think it might have. I thought I looked it up. I don't know. I can't remember.
I thought it was
2020.
I thought it was pretty up there.
2017, maybe, because God of War won in 2018. I thought we, I think Crystal and I looked up the previous Game of the Year.
I think
winners.
it did.
Other than that, Splatoon won best multiplayer game for Nintendo. Killing it, bro.
Splatoon 3, right?
Funny because I mean, honestly, it probably was the best. Because think about all the other ones that came out. It's like Call of Duty number 1 million. Like,
hey, bro, that's a popular franchise.
Dude, people are hating that game right now.
But there was a lot of cool. I think
and the best direction was also Elden Ring, right?
Bro,
right?
no other games came out last year except for God of War and Elden Ring that mattered. So I knew Elden Ring was going to win that.
Well, I texted you guys when I was watching it, and I was like, man, because God of War kept winning a bunch of they won the music, they won and so I was like, man, God of War is killing it. And then as soon as I texted that, they lost both the big ones, I guess.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I guess I jinxed them.
Yeah. Well deserved though. Those games are really good.
Well, do we want to move on to the world premiere kind of like the looks we got at things? Because there's one that for me is kind of like that I thought was the coolest one.
Okay. I've got a list of games that I thought were notable. Did you guys see the game Viewfinder? Did you guys see that?
That's the one where there was just a bunch of.
It's like a game where you go around.
You would move the thing and it would
it'd be like you take a picture and then it would
make the puzzle. You'd have to put in a certain way that it would make the stairs and something like that. Yeah, it looked really interesting.
It was a really interesting take on physics and kind of perception, So that was an interesting game. I was like, oh, it looks pretty original. There's another game where it's like the closer you were to an object, the bigger it became. It was really interesting. It was a different game, like last year or something like that. But it reminded me of this game called Viewfinder. But yeah, I don't know if you want to go through every game. How do you want to go?
Let's just go ones that you thought looked good.
Okay, did you guys see the game called Replaced?
Yeah.
Okay, that looked sick. This game was like pixel art, but in a new, really cool way. They it's kind of like a side scroller, kind of it's like a cool platformer, but in pixel art form. And they did some cool stuff with the camera to make it.
Yeah, it looks 3D. It looks really awesome. I think they showed a
a brief
glimpse of it last year at the Game Awards. Like that was the initial announcement. But yeah, this trailer looked really cool. That was one of the early ones that I was like, it's just a cool looking game. It's like almost like a futuristic, almost looks kind of like a Blade Runner feel in like a 16-bit video game. It looked really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Did you see that one?
Yeah, that was looked cool.
Hades 2 is coming out. I know Joel will be excited about this game. It's like an isometric, like roguelite game, but it's cool. The art style is really cool. It's like lined cartoon basically, and it's like a really high paced, like beat 'em up kind of, like almost, yeah. If you've played like any kind of like isometric game where you're just like punching and shooting and stuff like that, it's super cool. It was really popular to play, like on the Steam charts at least. They got a lot of downloads. On Twitch and like YouTube, they didn't get a lot of views. Like I don't think people liked watching the game as much as they liked playing the game. So Hades 2 is coming out. Did you ever play Hades?
No, I do want to play it. It won Game of the Year in 2020.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I haven't gotten around to play it.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like you go through and you get to add new augments onto yourself. You get new powers, just like any roguelike kind of thing, but there's some permanence to your choices. So that's why it's roguelite. It's less permanent, or less punishing, but that one looked good. Did you guys see Judas?
Yeah, Judas is the new game from the guy that did the BioShock games, which you can tell it looks very BioShock-like.
Yeah.
Not a lot of information, though, about it. It looks like you're kind of like a girl, and there was like maybe some space, and that was it. They were just like, a groundbreaking game coming from the creators of BioShock, and it was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, just like, I saw a lot of games that were kind of like that. Here's your hands, and then you're going to do stuff, you know, kind of like that first person, like, puzzle adventure kind of game, you know? I mean, you know, reputable guy who's doing it. So I think he did BioShock Infinite. And so I don't know. Are you guys huge BioShock fans?
Never played it.
You couldn't play it, I don't think.
You get a headache, I think.
Yeah.
You couldn't play.
You can't do it, bro.
Even if you wanted to, you could. You just can't.
That sucks, dude. They're good games. They're really cool. The stories are really interesting. You get to make decisions that matter.
That's the one with the little girl, like on the cover, right? With the like drill.
Yeah.
Thing.
There you go. You got it.
Yeah. I know what the games are. I just never played them.
But yeah, it looks like a totally different style of that game, basically.
How about Space Mailman 2?
Death Stranding 2, you mean?
Yeah, Death Stranding 2.
I mean the graphics look really good.
Did you guys play the first one?
No, I watched it. I watched a full playthrough of it, and I was glad I didn't buy it because it was a lot of the same stuff, but it was like more of a mental
placing ladders.
I've seen that kind of stuff.
And I'm not lying about this. And like peeing on monsters when they come after you. I'm not joking. Something about his pee reacted to like the bad guys, and so it was weird, bro. This game was weird, and it was just as weird in their like little like preview that they had for Death Stranding 2. It was all over the place. Get the baby, she's like trying to escape, gets shot or whatever.
Baby dies,
and the baby dies, and then there's like this other baby.
I think it's the same baby,
but I think the baby like disappeared from that spot and appeared, respawned.
Yeah, respawned, and then there was a container that had tentacles in it. Was it the same baby? Maybe. Yeah. Anyway, but it has our boy from Walking Dead.
Yeah, Norman
Reedus.
Yeah. And he's got gray hair, so we know
he's old as time has passed.
Time has passed. And there's a lot of weird like outfits. Like there's a lot of like weird armor sets. Like there's a guy with the red suit on or whatever. That was weird. I don't know. It's just
is that game popular? Like I don't like me not knowing, but it just seems like everyone's freaking out, you know, because it's the creator.
Yeah.
But
I honestly don't know. I don't know very many people that have played it. But I mean, on Twitter, I see people that are like, "Oh, it was a fun game. Well, I liked that. I can't wait for the next one." But I think it's mostly the clout of Hideo Kojima that it's like,
I respect him because he liked the Snyder Cut, so I can respect that, man.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of those games that like people really appreciate it, like almost like art in that way, like the complexity, the new way of thinking, kind of like changing your perception on what a game is.
Yeah,
and I think that's really the biggest thing. No, it's not going to be played more than Fortnite. No.
Yeah.
Not even close. But is it really interesting and will it win awards? Yeah, for sure.
I just think his stories are so weird.
Yeah.
It's hard for me because even Metal Gear started doing like the first ones were a certain way, but then they got really weird towards the later ones. And so I'm like, his storytelling is like, let me kind of just go crazy and do some nutty things. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's cool, but at the same time, it's like, are you just being weird for the sake of being weird? Like, or is that like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a fine line between like, oh, this is a cool story and I want this cool idea. Yeah. Or is it just like, you know what? I'm just going to give this baby tentacles because I can. And that to me, it's like, where is that line? So it's hard for me with him.
I think there's a lot of that when it comes to art as well, just in general.
Yeah.
You question, well, was that on purpose or are people reading into this way too much? And then he just leans into it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say what it is. You don't know what he's thinking, but yeah. I mean, it's just a giant art piece in my opinion. Yeah. He's just, and you know, when you go to like an art gallery and it's like this weird like room, just a full room of just like random paint everywhere. And you're like, what the heck is going on? And then he's got a whole like explanation on his thought process behind it. It's like that kind of thing to me where it's like some people will go into that room and be like really moved by it or whatever.
Well, and he said that even in the Game Awards, he said it was him that said that he had written the sequel and then after COVID, he rewrote the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Was that him?
Because he was like, I'm tired. He's like, I didn't want to predict the future again. So I rewrote the...
Yeah, which that's kind of cool. I mean, to be like, yeah, I got the time to just, and the creativity to be like, yeah, I'll just do a different thing. So that's kind of interesting. So we'll see.
Yeah, but the graphics look really good. So, yeah. Will you get that game? Will you ever play Death Stranding ever?
I mean, honestly, if it shows up on like PlayStation Plus and it's like free download, then I might download it if I've like, I'm going to play through it. But there wasn't one of those games that I was like, I was kind of excited when they announced it because it's the first game he made after parting, making his own company and not doing the Metal Gear game. So I was like, oh, cool, let's see what he makes. And then seeing gameplay, and I was like, I don't know if this is the game for me.
Death Stranding 2. What can Brown do for you?
Yeah. The next game I noted was Immortals of Avium. But I only noted this because it looked very similar to some of the other first person, like showing hands and doing things kind of stuff.
Yeah, because they only described it as a first person magic shooter or something like that. So it's like, it's going to be, I guess, a first person shooter, but you're based on magic mainly. You don't have guns.
It's like gauntlet thing. It looked cool, but you didn't get much.
Right. So, it was just like a teaser, basically, of like, this is a cinematic of what it might look like.
Yeah. I'll keep my eye on it to see how it progresses. And I really want to see the gameplay because in that cinematic, the way they did cinematic was almost like gameplay. So, yeah, we'll see. What about Avowed? Did you see that one at all?
I don't think I saw that one.
Okay. Another first person kind of magic kind of. The cinematic has like this guy shooting like an arrow in the air and like it flies and then it lands, like it kills a skeleton guy. And then anyway, it looks very magic-y as well. And it looks very similar is what I'm trying to say.
It's rated M for magic.
In a different way. Yeah. M for magic. I saw a lot of games like this is what I'm trying to put the point across. I'm like, there must be a huge crowd for that because I'm not a real big fan of those first person guys, like single player games. But hey, you know, Tekken 8. The only reason why I wrote Tekken 8 down because Tekken is Tekken, right? It's a fighting game, but the graphics looks really sick. And I actually saw some still like in-game images of it, and I was like, dang, those graphics are so sick. But I mean, it's a fighting game,
right? Well, same thing with Street Fighter 6 is like,
it was kind of
another fighting game.
Again, pardon my ignorance, and for those of you listening that love these games, are these popular games? Like,
you're gonna have like, okay, there's gonna be people who like survival games. There's a group that likes that. There should be a group who likes fighting games.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I feel like you can't do much. like how do you
change
the game better? Like I feel like even like the Injustice games, it's kind of like, okay, at a certain point you button mash or you have the combos. It's like how do you progress? And I know they've done stuff where it's like, in the original Street Fighters is like, oh, you're just fighting back and forth, and then it was like, oh, these levels now have other levels. If you hit them at a certain spot, it goes, So like they've developed that kind of stuff. But I'm like, at what point does it just become like, we can't do any more with this a fighting game? It's just kind of like, they've done stuff where like tag team where you can like tag another player. So I know they've like developed better like other gameplay options. Yeah. But I just feel like for me, it's hard to be like, well, how do you make, how does Tekken 8 better than 7?
What's your favorite game you've played? Like what's your favorite like video game you've played?
Like Zelda? The Zelda franchise is probably my favorite. Diablo, StarCraft, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And if you look at like Diablo and StarCraft, I would say Zelda has done a lot of stuff that's changed the genre of like, or like the subject of Zelda. But when you look at Diablo and you look at StarCraft, it's like, you could say the same thing where you're like, well, why do you want to play that? Why do you want to play Diablo 3 when you play Diablo 2?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, they changed mechanics. They added new features. They changed characters. They made the graphics better. They changed all this like multiplayability, like everything's online now, like all these, they've added all these features. That's why I think the core gameplay of the isometric beat 'em up dungeon crawl is still there.
But I think like if I were to say the difference for me is like StarCraft between StarCraft and StarCraft 2 and then expansions or whatever, I'm like Blizzard did such a great job, or Warcraft, right? Warcraft 1, 2, 3. It's like, the gameplay is very similar, but the story, like I want to play it because of the story so good, right? For me, Tekken, I used to play Tekken, the older ones. And you'd beat the game with each character, and you'd have like a cinematic at the end to tell you their story, right? But I kind of feel like at what point the story for me, or at least for what I know, isn't what drives those games.
No, it's not.
And so for me, it's like that's where it becomes like stale, because I'm like, I don't want to know like what these stories are. There's not a big story being told. It's the same thing with Injustice. Like the story was okay, but it's like you're really not playing it for the story. So that's where I feel like that's the difference for me with like a Blizzard or a StarCraft or Diablo. It's like, well, the story is what gets me hooked, and I want to see that.
And that's totally it's just kind of not the case for people who play Diablo forever. People are playing Diablo 3 right now. This game's been out for so long.
Yeah.
Why do they play that game? Because they want to be the strongest. They want to be the fastest.
Get different items.
Yes, that's the core component to that game. Yeah. It is. And even though they have a great story and great cutscenes, that's the core component. That's the heart of the game. Same with Tekken. It's like, it's about playing against another player and destroying
it. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the other, I was going to say the other component to that is like just getting really good and competing.
And to be honest, let's be honest, we have never been even close to a level where we would truly understand the game.
Well, I mean, speak for yourself.
It's not. Dude,
I'm a pretty good button smasher, bro.
I can't remember what game it was, but the guy who had like a bow staff, and I would just like poke people, dude.
Oh, like, dude, Soul Calibur 4.
Soul Calibur 4, yeah. Dude, I was pretty good at timing things, but I never once learned every combo.
And I could never do a combo. I'd get like lucky.
Hard counter someone. Like, dude, there's like levels. But yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to buy it. But I'm sure people will be excited about it. The graphics looked amazing, though. Nightingale was the next game I noted.
That's the one where they, where there's like different worlds, and it's like 1800s. They're dressed up like the 1800s, and they go through portals and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's the only thing that kind of was weird, just because. Okay, so it's totally a survival game type thing. It almost reminded me of how New World looks in that colonial style like outfits.
It reminded me a little bit of Arcane.
Okay,
the look, how they kind of have
steampunky.
Yeah, like they have like like old school collared shirts and like hats and stuff, but they've got like,
bro, I'm gonna be honest. I saw a screenshot of a dude like fighting one of these like alien like bat guys, right? Who has like a human face with like a beak. I don't know.
And he had a monocle on.
And there's a dude in the back who just looks like like your brother Lauren just wearing a vest, just like standing in the back with like a pitchfork, and I'm like, what is this game? He looks like a sim. That's the only thing that I would say. It looked kind of meh to me. The characters look kind of not super inspired, but the monsters and stuff look cool. Like the world looked cool. What do you guys think about that? Anything?
I thought it looked okay. I think Crystal was more interested in it, and she was like, "Oh, it's only on PC, so never mind." But yeah, it looked fine.
With a Stream Deck, dude.
Yeah, no, shoot. It looks okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So there was another game called Wayfinder. This was an kind of like an ARPG. It reminded me of I don't know. Did you guys ever see Dauntless or Monster Hunter? It kind of reminded me of that. It looked okay. I don't know if you guys even remember that one. Was it even memorable for you guys?
I remember it briefly. Yeah, it's like it's online, right? Or like
I think so.
Some type.
It was definitely multiplayer.
Yeah. So it was one of those. I was like, oh, it looked almost. It looked like something I'd seen before. You know what I mean? It didn't really stick out to me. I was like, oh, we're doing another multiplayer game. See what it's like.
Yeah, So it was. I want to watch that because I do like multiplayer games like that, but it didn't look super enticing.
And it's hard when they just show trailers because you can't see what the game's about. So you're like, that looks similar to this. Yeah. And then it's like, it's not until they show gameplay where you're like, oh, that's different. I really like what they're doing there. So it's one of those that it's like, oh, yeah, I've seen it before. It maybe looks interesting, but I have to wait to see it until I can learn more about it.
The next thing, I don't know, do we want to wait for Diablo 4 till the end? Or this is just like the order?
No, let's just cover it.
Okay.
Diablo 4.
So Diablo 4 was the next thing. They came out with a sweet cutscene cinematic. Tyrael looked sick.
The way they do angels is just like
he looks so cool.
So his tendrils was just like destroying everyone, just evaporating them.
That's gotta be one of the cool. That's gotta be one of the coolest angel designs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, with the hood.
Yeah, it's so good.
So they announced Diablo 4. It's coming out. What's the date?
June.
June.
Yeah.
June.
Yeah, June 2023.
This was pretty surprising for me because I thought it would be at the end of this next year. So awesome. I'm excited about it. They announced, so after showing the cinematic, which was sick, they announced kind of what you can do, pre-order, what different like things they had available. I checked it out. It was kind of crazy because I was like, dude, one of my favorite collector's editions. It's kind of like your Steelbooks. I love collector's editions, like games, because they're so sick. The art. Diablo 3's collector's edition was so cool. I love that thing. It's my favorite one on the shelf, probably. And I looked in the Diablo 4 one. Dude, it's huge. It's like this big. It's like, it's got like candle stands in it and all these crazy art books and all this nuts stuff. It's so crazy. It looks awesome.
And it's like $1,000.
And it doesn't come with a game.
What?
So it's like, it's not technically the collector's edition of the game. It's just a collector's thing. I don't know what they exactly call it.
How does that make any sense? Wouldn't you just throw a game in there?
Right. That's what I'm saying. But they're greedy. And that's kind of the main thing that I'm seeing here with this release of Diablo 4 is they're very greedy. So they're moving up the price of Diablo 4 to the $70 price point, which is what basically Microsoft is. Everyone's signing up for. Well, if you're down for $10 more, heck yeah, let's raise it to $70. So $70 base price. Then they have like a 90 or an 80 and then 100 or something like that for different collector's editions. And
how much is the collector pack that you?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I totally lost interest in it. Once I was like, dude, I'm about to buy two different things. I'm going to spend probably $200 on this thing. No way. Half a PS5, dude. No way. But the game looks really cool.
Yeah, it does.
The druid and all these classes, they look so sick. So if you do pre-order it and have the one step up, you're going to get a 3-day early access, which I'm not super a fan of, but it is kind of just the reality that we live in. It's the reality we live in.
It seems kind of lame to be like,
it is.
Hey, if you buy this, you get to play, 3 days before everyone else. And then it's like, the reality is people end up just spoiling it because they want to be losers, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you're just going to let people like post all this stuff 3 days before. And that's kind of lame.
Yeah. People are more interested in just the fact that one dude's going to be ahead of them.
Yeah.
They'll be hitting endgame way before you. For $10 more.
Yeah.
For 3 days. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's just going to buy that, right?
100%. Yeah. I think that's what happens. I think if you're a fan of Diablo 4 and you want to play it day one, you have to spend $80 on it or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's lame.
So yeah, it was kind of bittersweet because I am excited about Diablo 4 and I'm going to be that sucker who does pay the extra money, but I'm the reason, right?
Yeah,
I'm the reason. Everyone else is the reason why they're able to even pull this off with a 3-day early cost like access thing.
Is it coming out on the Switch?
I don't know.
They haven't announced it. If they do, man, you're gonna be playing freaking 5 FPS.
Hey, Jonah doesn't care, bro.
The game is looking good.
It is.
Yeah. It looks amazing.
Hopefully they can just dumb it down a ton so that it like has fewer like polygons.
So it basically looks like Minecraft.
So it just looks like Minecraft. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they did say because I was waiting to hear like, is it going to be cross-platform? Are they going to do couch co-op? And they did confirm.
Yeah,
couch co-op cross-platform.
Nice. Yeah.
So that'll be sweet.
Yeah.
So it's gonna PC and then PS5 and Xbox.
Yeah.
Nice, cool.
Yeah. So
maybe I'll get a PS5 and then
that's
get
good
it
news.
For that. Start saving up my money.
Maybe you should get Xbox, bro.
Nah.
Ugh. Things are not looking good. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So that was Diablo 4. Are you gonna get it, Josh?
Yeah, I'll definitely get it. I already pre-ordered that collector's edition box.
Yeah.
He's got that candle. He's burning that incense.
Okay, so the next game was Remnant 2. Did you guys see that one at all?
Yeah, I did. It looked fine. I was like, oh, there was a first one of this? I've never heard of it.
Maybe that's a PC only game.
Yeah,
because I was like, it was actually pretty big. The game was actually really good. But yeah, if you like third person shooters and like really epic like boss fights, and if you like playing with other people, one of the best multiplayer experiences through like a story and stuff like that with bosses and stuff that's available currently. So it's a really good game. So I'm looking forward to Remnant 2. Actually, it's kind of a bit of a gory, scary stuff, but it is really cool. Next, I at least wrote this one down because I was like, "Oh, that's funny." Transformers Reactivate.
Nice, yeah, I saw that one.
It looked.
Come on, boys!
I was not expecting it to be a Transformers game. You know what I mean? Like the cinematic was like, oh, like these guys running through the city's on fire. I was like, oh, what is this game? And then they were like, turned on the robot, and it was like Transformers. I was like, all right.
See his hands, like, is that Bumblebee?
Maybe. It was it was a cool. Like it was a cool cinematic. I liked it. When they're like, "Come on, big guy," and I was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh," I thought it was gonna be like, what was that game where you had the big mechs?
Titanfall?
Yeah, is that it? I thought it was gonna be something like that, and then there was like Transformers. I was like, "Oh, all right."
I just know that like historically, Transformer games just do really bad. So hey, man, this might be the one. Just like the movie.
That's right.
The movie might be the one that's coming out. You know, you never know. Did you guys talk about that last week?
No,
we talked about
movie,
how they're disappointing.
Yeah, Rise of the Beasts.
Beast Wars?
No. We're saying we always get our hopes up, and then we see the movie, and we're like, oh man,
I feel like
they did it again.
In my friend group, I feel like I'm the only one who actually is like, yo, that looks good. Everyone else is like, that looks like it's another Transformers movie. Trash.
Like, yeah, but they're beasts.
Yeah, but did you see how he got out of the car and then he transformed at the end? That was sick. Whatever. Banisher's Ghost of New Eden.
I thought this looked really cool.
It did look good.
It looked really cool. I really liked the cinematic, like of just being like, you know, like having the conversation and then you realize the other person's a ghost. And you're like, oh, that's kind of crazy. So, and then they showed a little gameplay at the end where you're basically banishing ghosts and it looks like your partner who's a ghost is kind of helping you out. I thought it looked really cool, actually. It was one of those that I was like, those are the type of games I like. I like an interesting story. So yeah, that was one that I was like, oh, that looks cool.
Yeah, it's rare to have like an original idea that's new. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like that just set me on the back foot when I had to like realize that. I was like, oh, she's talking to him and just him. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got it. So the cinematic worked for me.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, we only saw like a glimpse of gameplay, but
right.
Hey, might be cool. As long as the combat's fluid and it feels good and the story's solid, I think it will be a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see it?
No, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, we're nearing kind of the end. There was Lords of the Fallen. This game kind of a bit generic, but it looked good. Like it was kind of gothic style, third person RPG kind of style. It was it looked good.
Yeah, I heard it was a reboot of like an old game called just Lords of the Fallen, and they've rebooted it as The Lords of the Fallen.
Okay.
I don't know when that original came out, but it looks a lot like Elden Ring. Like when I saw it, I was like, had a lot of Elden Ring vibes, and that's what I've seen about it. That it's like a very like a Souls-like type of combat. It looks really good, but I'm like, probably not one of those games that I'll probably play.
You gotta wait for it to come out and then actually see the reviews. Kind of a game.
Yeah. It seems like one of those that could be very generic. Like
that's what I said. Actually, that's what I noted. Generically good.
Yeah.
So we'll see. The next one was Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2.
Every time I see that, it reminds me of StarCraft.
Yeah, it looks like a freaking
Space Marine.
Yeah, Space Marine. That's what I'm saying. Anytime I've seen any trailer for those games, I've always been like, "Is that StarCraft?" Oh no, it's not. That's my first.
Yeah, it honestly, dude.
And I don't know who copied who.
Honestly, dude, if you just swapped Warhammer and then just put a Marine like a StarCraft Marine, you're like, Jim Raynor. Cool. Yeah, it's a story about one Marine. Awesome. I don't know. Have you ever played a Warhammer game?
No, I haven't.
I've only played like different offshoots, not the Space Marine type stuff.
But Warhammer is like the
board game.
The board game.
Yeah, and
right.
It's like a huge table game.
Right. It's like what Henry Cavill loves playing.
Yeah.
But how does that
battles?
What's the difference? Is it a same style of game? Like the Space Marine one, is it completely? No, it's just based on that world, basically.
Is the Space Marine game? It's first person shooter. I'm pretty sure because when they showed gameplay last time, I think you had a chainsaw and you were mowing through dudes.
Was it first, like your hands?
Yeah,
or
I think
it behind?
I thought it was. Maybe I'm misremembering, but yeah, it's nothing like the tabletop game.
Okay, so it's just
like in that world because there's a giant,
lore.
There's future and then there's past for Warhammer and all that stuff.
There's a Warhammer universe.
Yeah,
it's very vast.
When are we getting a Warhammer game? I mean, movie.
I don't know. Good question.
I don't know. Let's see if this Dungeons and Dragons movie does well.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I never play these type of games, but we'll keep a lookout. I saw Meet Your Maker. That was a different idea. Basically, you're like building a base, and then a person will basically like try to like infiltrate and destroy your base.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Like it's a different type of game. So it's like it was interesting in that way. I'm concerned on how you keep that fun and interesting for more than like a couple plays. So I don't know. Did you guys see it? You saw it?
I didn't see. I don't think I saw that.
It's the one where like the trailer's like, it's like player first try, and the person's like running through, and then they die, and then it has like second attempt, and they going through, and it's just kind of he ends up getting to the end like in the 8th attempt. It was just kind of interesting to me.
Yeah. The last one that I wrote down was Crime Boss.
Yeah, dude.
Do you guys remember which actors? There's a lot of actors.
There was
big name.
Danny Glover.
Yeah, Danny Glover.
Danny Glover's in it as I can't remember all the names were like really similar.
Yeah.
The guy from Guardians of the Galaxy and The Walking Dead. What's that guy's name? Not Norman Reedus, the other guy. Yondu from the Guardians of the Galaxy. Michael Rooker.
Nice job.
Nailed it.
Nice job.
What other? I can't think of any other ones aside from the big headline at the end, which was
Chuck Norris.
And Chuck Norris, obviously.
Yep, dude. That was
I might buy it just because of Chuck Norris.
Chuck,
dude.
don't mess with Chuck.
That's right, dude. He'll kick your butt.
Yeah, that was our first single.
That was our first big hit.
I may release that on Spotify. Don't mess with Chuck.
Dude, that's a good one, dude. Honestly, that's where it should live is TikTok.
That's right.
Yeah, what'd you think about it?
I mean, it just seemed like a GTA style.
Yeah, it looked like GTA.
What's the other one? I can't think of the other.
Payday.
not Payday. I don't know. I think they released their game recently, but yeah, that kind of style of like, whoa, it's we're in a city and we run around, we do shenanigans. You know what I mean? Yeah. It seemed pretty.
And Chuck Norris is on your tail.
That's right. Yeah. So probably not the game for me, but interesting that they got all these big name actors in it. Or I'm wondering, big name.
I'm wondering if it's like, where did it start? You know, like, did someone approach them and be like, hey, we're going to make this game that's like GTA. You guys are going to be voices for them. Or like, were they smoking cigarettes and they're like, you know, we should really get into that game business. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I wonder,
hey, get my agent on the phone. I really want to get in these video games.
Video games. Yeah.
Donald Glover didn't talk about it or Danny Glover.
Glover. No, he didn't. When I saw him.
No. Dang.
Oh, you saw him?
I did.
Dang.
The country club. I was playing music for him.
He didn't tell you about Crime Boss?
Nah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Speaking of actors, the one I saw that was interesting was Idris Elba in the Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. The other ones,
was that a DLC?
Yeah,
it's a DLC.
Yeah, it's called Liberty City, I think. So that'll be interesting because that game came out and everyone hated it because it was so glitchy.
Super bad.
I haven't really seen. I think they've fixed all the glitches, so I don't know if people have gone back to it and been like, "Oh, it's actually not a bad game."
Right.
I know they said they're going to release a game of. I don't know why they're a Game of the Year edition with the DLC. I think. Nice. So that'll be interesting to see if it's like, now that they've figured everything out, if it's actually a good game or not. But yeah, we'll see.
The other two that I was interested in, obviously, Jedi Survivor. We got gameplay for that.
I totally forgot that.
And that I liked the first game. Again, I think the worst thing about that game was the map, traversing kind of stuff. Hopefully they fix that, but the gameplay looks cool. It looks like you got different ways of using your lightsaber. In the first one, you could only do either one lightsaber or double-sided lightsaber, but now it's kind of like you can have two. And there's apparently there's a blaster. You can use your blaster now because they released some DLC, some like early stuff that you can.
True Jedi.
It's cool though. Like
it's just uncivilized, bro.
Better. It's going to help you with better gameplay, I think. More options, because I do think the first game got a little repetitive with that kind of stuff. So I think it looks cool. The Jedi in the tank seems to be like a Jedi from the High Republic time that was imprisoned there. So that's kind of a cool kind of a wrinkle in the story that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So it looks cool. Did you guys enjoy it, or what did you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. I played the first one. It was fun. It was a quick playthrough though. And that's kind of what we get when we get these story-based games. But it was fun for what it was worth. Looking forward to this one. It looks good. What do you think?
Looked fun. I don't think anything really blew my mind. I was just like, okay,
it's gonna be a lot of the same.
Let's see what story they tell, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The special edition for this one, if you buy it, you get the little lightsaber hilt. His lightsaber hilt.
Oh, you actually get something, and you get the game.
And you get the game. The game is included. Nice. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
Isn't that made by EA?
Yeah.
Frick.
Yeah.
EA's
killing it.
Activision.
Killing it.
Dang.
The other one that although I'm not excited for the game, this made me excited and kind of like I have to get it, was the Suicide Squad game.
Oh, I actually get that. Yeah.
Kevin Conroy, his last time doing the voice of Batman. And that the trailer was awesome. Kind of how he's, his whole line that he says there at the end, I am vengeance.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to get this because of that, basically. So I don't know. The game could suck, but I feel like that was kind of like, a cool way to reveal that this was his last performance as Batman. And I just think for fans of Kevin Conroy, that's going to be a big thing to get, or at least watch, like if you're going to watch it or something. But for me, that was one of those things that I'm like, I'd like to get that game and play it just because of that.
I think it brought it just made me I was like, wait, because they said this takes place in the Arkham universe, right? So this is technically then what happened before. You know what I mean? It gave me timeline questions, which I can easily just be like, oh, whatever. We're just playing, and I don't care. You know what I mean? But if they specifically said it takes place in the Arkham universe, that's the only thing that kind of makes me like, oh, that's kind of weird if he's around chasing the Suicide Squad when we already know what happens in Gotham Knight. So anyway, I thought it was cool. And it was one of those things, I think we've talked about it before. This is a game that we're like not super excited about. But this like moves it in the other direction a little bit.
Yeah, I will say it looks better than Arkham Knights.
Oh, yeah.
The graphics and the animations that I saw looked better. So that's good.
And I think where they have an opportunity to make a better game is if the gameplay is good. Like, because we don't like.
It'll be better if it's good gameplay.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I know, like,
super
that's
low
what
bar.
people are saying about Gotham Knights. Is like it sucks.
Low bar,
but I feel like, because this is Rocksteady, right?
Yeah.
They
have a good track record.
They've done a great job with the Arkham Knight series. So I feel like they're gonna have. That's gonna be what I don't like is the interactions between the Suicide Squad, like the Harley Quinn annoying voice, like that kind of stuff. That's what's put me off to it.
Yeah.
But if the gameplay is so good that stuff is like whatever, and then if there's a good story they're telling, because I think their storytelling in the Arkham series was really good. So if they have a good story to tell, that to me is like, this might be a game that's like surprises me, where I'm going in with low expectations and I'm like, the gameplay was so good. The characters had different gameplay that's just really cool that you could do stuff with. And if they're doing Superman and they're doing Batman and they're doing The Flash, what if this sets up a Rocksteady Superman game? Like if they've already
and they tell the Snyder Cut story, Snyderverse story, moving forward in video game
Zack Snyder is
wow.
I'm just saying,
I'm in.
It lives on in video game form.
This has a potential of, I think, surprising people that have been turned off to kind of like what we've seen before. So I don't know. The Kevin Conroy stuff is definitely a plus for me and makes me be like, okay, like I'm going to get this game.
I mean, that's the best part of the game.
Yes. That we've seen so far.
The worst part, honestly, for me, they just use Harley Quinn so much and it's just annoying. And I'm just like, I'm over it. And it's just, it doesn't help that every woman or every girl out there dresses up like Harley Quinn for Halloween. And it's just like the whole world's just Harley Quinn and guys and everyone else.
Yeah.
Dogs. I'm over it. But yeah, no, I think the bar has been set low by Arkham Knights. So, hey, and it's Rocksteady. So, yeah, should be better.
Yeah.
What else? Was that it?
Last thing. Well, Final Fantasy 16. I don't know if I don't think we're into Final Fantasy. I played the original ones.
I was
when they like were ported to the Game Boy Advance. I played them on Game Boy Advance.
I was.
We played Crystal Chronicles. I remember that. That was sick with my Game Boy Advance. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it looked cool, but it's not one of those games that I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna play Final Fantasy 16. I can't wait to see what story they tell.
And they've changed how that game plays so much.
Yeah.
It's not really my type of game anymore, but I mean, the stories are always very interesting. But
it seems like people are excited about it.
Yeah, graphics look cool.
The last one, Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores DLC comes out in April. It's
Hollywood, right?
Yep, they're going to Hollywood. California love.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
California knows how to party.
So you can download it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get it, definitely. Okay. The DLC for the first one was really good. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I really enjoyed
good game.
Forbidden West was a lot of fun. I don't think the story was as strong as the first one was, but the gameplay was a lot of fun, and it's just fun to go around destroying dinosaur mechs and rhinoceros mechs and giant snake mechs. So it'll be fun. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. So overall, pretty good. At Game Awards, we had a last little minute, last second kind of surprise at the Game Awards. You guys probably saw it. But on the last, the Game of the Year Elden Ring award, this little kid. I mean, I don't know more about this kid. Do you know more about this kid?
Apparently, he's done other pranks like this.
Okay,
they said. I don't remember where at, but he did it. He did another type of prank like this.
Okay, but someone was interviewing this kid, and they spoke in Hebrew to kind of test that he understood, and it looked like he understood, and then he acted like he couldn't understand Hebrew. It was really weird. I don't understand it. Anyway, what happened at the awards was they went up, Elden Ring, Game of the Year, and this kid goes up with them, takes the mic, and what does he say?
He said...
Shout out to my Orthodox, what is it?
Shout out to my Reformed Orthodox rabbi, Bill Clinton. And then he just kind of like moved away. Like,
everyone was so confused, and I felt so bad for the Elden Ring guys.
Well, because they're Japanese and they don't speak English.
They don't know what the F's going on.
The translator's like,
yo, they probably think it's like a bit. Like, who knows with these freaky, weird Americans? They do all these bits all the time.
Yeah.
It was so embarrassing. I was like, dude, what is happening?
He looks like he's like 12. For one, when I saw him standing in the background, I saw him in the background. I was like, "Who's this kid?" Like they just took their son up there, and then you could tell he was just kind of waiting around,
curly hair, fro.
Yeah, and I was actually watching on. I had paused it, made dinner, and then started watching. And I just saw someone say, like, I was scrolling through Twitter, and someone was like, "Did that guy just say Bill Clinton?" And I was like, "What the heck is this about?" And then, like, seeing him in the background, I was like, "What the heck is good?" Like, this is weird. And then when he said it, I was like, "What the heck?"
That was so funny.
Yeah, super random.
What do you do with something like that? Dude, that guy get banned for ever being?
Man, you thank God he didn't say anything worse than that,
right? Yeah, at least he wasn't.
God, and you say, "Wow, that was a dodged bullet," because I mean he could have said anything and it was live streamed.
You can't edit it. You can't edit it.
It's not TV where they have it like a 30-second delay. So it was a little scary. Yeah, I mean obviously they have to have someone who like you have to like verify that you have the tag or something. I don't know what the heck happened.
What's tough is I saw people being like, "Man, security took forever to get up there." I'm like, how would they know that the person that walked up on stage wasn't supposed to be up there? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because once you go up, then you're like, after a while, then you're probably like, yeah, that guy looks out of place. And then you go and, but you have no idea if that's like, hey, it's his son or his nephew he told you he could come up on stage with. So that's,
it's a Make-A-Wish kid. Like, you know how bad that guy would be fired on the spot.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't belong. He's like,
But you're right. It does make it an issue because you're now like, well, now next year. Because here's the thing. Everyone saw it.
Yeah.
And now you're going to, it's the same thing with people do at soccer games or football games where you have like a guy run on the field. Yeah. It's like, there's a reason why they don't show those people on camera to not get more people to do it because they get attention. This kid is getting so much attention. Like I've seen him, he's on interviews with all these streamers and stuff now. Like he's a big deal. And I'm just saying like
he's your 5 minutes or 10 minutes of fame.
But how many more people are like, I want that? I'd like
for sure.
Yeah, I want to do that. Like that's the world we live in now, where it's like anything for attention and clicks.
That's the American dream.
And so to me, it's like,
dude, that guy's gonna be a streamer now. He's gonna make millions.
His TikTok's gonna go off the rails.
Yeah, it's just to me, it's like I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do next year and if there's gonna be like copycats.
I don't know if he ruined the award. I think if he did something that really affected them getting
I'm gonna let you finish, but God of War was the game of the year.
If he would have been like, actually Elden Ring sucks, you guys suck, all hail Bill Clinton. Like, you know what I mean? Like did something weird like that. He didn't hurt the experience. I mean, it did bring a lot of views for the event. So some might look at that in a positive way, like anything is good. But no, definitely, obviously a bad thing. And it just caught me off guard. I actually wasn't watching at the very end, so I missed that. So I had to watch it, and I was like, what the?
Yeah, at least that's right. At least he didn't interrupt them while they were giving their speech and messing up their speech.
Yeah.
He let them finish, and then they were walking off, and then he was like, hey.
Or go up there and slap someone.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't do that either.
That's right. That man should be in prison.
That's right. But I think that's it for the Game Awards. Yeah,
I think it was pretty good. No Xbox. Xbox decided not to show anything, so I saw people were upset about that.
Losers,
cowards.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, Corey, this is basically E3.
Yeah,
it's fun awesome to watch. It's enjoyable. You get to people in the gaming industry get to be rewarded. I thought it was cool. Al Pacino was out there, and he was like, I don't know anything about games. Yeah. He's like, I've watched my kids play games.
And everyone's like, woo!
Yeah.
But every time he'd say something like that, like, I don't know anything about games, but I wasn't, everyone was like, yeah, he watches his kids play games.
He's selling video games.
Al Pacino.
Yeah. But he's like, what these guys do, the actors, because he did the actor, presented the actor award. And it's true. It's like the performers for these games are like actors. They're
so
super talented. The storytelling for these games is like incredible. Script writing, all that stuff. So
that's why it makes it hard for like when these games are made into movies and shows, is because the video game storytelling is so good,
right?
That then when you put it into a 2-hour movie, you're like, it's missing something.
And that reminds me with not the Walking Dead. Oh my gosh, The Last of Us. When they had that moment where they brought on Travis Barker and
Troy Barker.
Travis Barker's the drummer.
No.
Shirtless.
Travis Barker.
Troy Baker.
Travis Barker.
Yeah, they fought the two actors.
And Ashley Johnson.
Yeah,
I know her because she's on Critical Role.
Yeah, Critical Role. That's I was like, hey, that's the girl from Critical Role.
And then the actors for the live series or live movie or series. Series. That was cool.
Yeah.
That was an awesome moment. And it was cool to kind of also see her tweeting about it. Ashley Johnson was tweeting about it. It's just, she's like, I've seen what they're doing and it's really awesome. I'm proud of it. And I'm signing off on it. I'm like, that's awesome.
And they're both cool. in the show too. So she has a role. That's what the Neil Druckmann, the creator, was like, if we're doing a show, they have to have a part in it. So they both have roles in the movie, which is show, which is cool.
Yeah.
But at one point, she looks in a mirror and she's there.
Her, But yeah, Game Awards, super fun. It's a fun show. Check it out next year.
Yeah, always looking forward to it every year. But yeah, and let us know what you guys thought. What were you guys' highlights? What do you guys think? Maybe something we missed. I don't know, but let us know.
Definitely.
Yeah, probably. Let us know in the comments below. But like, subscribe, whatever, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
See ya.